What if Darth Vader was chosen for the Mortal Kombat Tournament? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Darth Vader stands upon the bridge of the Executor, staring into the abyss of hyperspace. They had just finished another battle of rebel forces. As expected, his forces had decimated the rebels, leaving only ruined ships and floating bodies. It was a victory, and many were elated. Vader should be one of them. But all he feels is apathy as he looks at the blue-white light of the stars streaking past. These barely register to him. He has power, more than any Sith before him, more than Dooku, Ventress, Savage, and Maul. The only person who can challenge him is his master, but something gnaws at him. Despite all his strength, he remains a servant, bound to the will of Darth Sidious. It is the way of the Sith to take power and become stronger until he can overpower his master. But try as he might, he has never achieved that level of strength. The dark side has promised him unlimited power, but even he feels the limits of his mastery. He has conquered the Jedi, crushed the rebellious uprisings, and instilled fear across the galaxy. Yet he still craves more. Something beyond Palpatine's machinations. Something to prove his strength beyond a doubt. In a realm beyond time and space, Shao Kahn, Emperor of Outworld, sits on his throne, gazing into the swirling vortex of souls in his arena. He has ruled for centuries, conquering worlds, bending warriors to his will, and enforcing the brutal tradition of Mortal Kombat. But his hunger for power is endless. Before him kneels the sorcerer Shang Tsung, his golden eyes shimmering with dark magic. "I have foreseen a warrior, my emperor, a being of great rage, bound in shadow. More machine than man, he wields an energy unlike anything in Outworld, something even beyond the Elder Gods." Shao Kahn's eyes narrow. A warrior beyond Outworld. Beyond the gods, he will see for himself. Raising his mighty warhammer, he slams it into the ground, sending ripples of energy through the air. The sky above the Colosseum cracks open, the pulse of his power reaching across dimensions, tearing into the fabric of reality itself. Vader's hand clenches into a fist as he turns his gaze outward. Suddenly, the Executor is forced from hyperspace, sending Vader and the rest of the bridge crew tumbling to their feet as they try to figure out what happened. They look up and see a rift opening before his ship, a vortex of raw, unbridled energy, unlike anything he has encountered before. Even the deepest knowledge of the Sith holds no mention of such an anomaly, and yet it calls to him. He orders the crew to hold position and avoid the portal as he returns to his meditation chambers to consider these effects. Once alone, he begins to close his eyes and tries to clear his mind. He thinks of this development and what it might entail. Vader reaches out into the vortex, feeling something strange about it. The energy is certainly powerful, but there is something else about it. Something alien and unlike any he's ever encountered. It is certainly not the Force. The feeling he gets is unusual. He realizes that it may not even be from this galaxy. At first, he wishes to turn back and return to hyperspace. There is no telling what might be beyond, but he also feels something strangely enthralling. It isn't just there. It continues to pull at him and tries to summon him. He realizes this might be his chance to power, to finally challenge Palpatine. With a simple command, his shuttle is prepared. Alone, he enters the swirling portal, the dark side crackling around him as he steps beyond the veil of his reality. A shadow emerges from the rift, clad in black armor, breathing in a slow mechanical rhythm. The warrior strides forward, his crimson blade igniting with a hiss. Vader scans his surroundings. He is in an arena of stone and blood, surrounded by warriors whose eyes glow with power. The sky above is red with swirling storms, and in the distance, he sees a tower of jagged metal and grotesque statues of warriors long dead. Warriors, sorcerers, and monstrous creatures watching from the blood-stained stands. The dark side pulses within him, and he feels a strange kinship with the energy of this realm, a place of unrelenting conflict, where only the strong survive. Taking a deep breath, he feels an unusual sense of elation. It is a rush of adrenaline that he has not felt in a long time. This is just what he longed for, to test his abilities and grow stronger. He was no longer in his galaxy. The moment he moved, a voice boomed through the arena, shaking the ground itself.
You stand before the Emperor of Outworld.
Vader turned to see a hulking figure in spiked armor, seated upon a massive obsidian throne. The man's eyes burned with arrogance, and his hammer pulsed with dark energy. Shao Kahn.
You were chosen, warrior. Chosen to fight in the tournament of Mortal Kombat. I do not serve. I rule. You fight. You are here to fight for my amusement. To fight and prove that your life means something. You are far from your empire, warrior. I am the empire. Then prove it in Mortal Kombat. The rules are simple. Prove your worth and be rewarded. Fail and suffer the consequences.
The words were spoken boldly, meant to intimidate him, but the Dark Lord of the Sith does not scare easily. The Sith Lord does not hesitate. He steps forward, his blade humming as a monstrous warrior clad in 4 arms and adorned with trophies of past conquests steps forward. Vader enters the Mortal Kombat Tournament, uninterested in the stakes, only focused on power and ruling this universe. The arena roars as the next match is announced. A gruff voice cuts through the noise, filled with mockery.
Oi, look at this bucket of bolts. What's with the heavy breathing, mate? That mask holding your head together or something?
His cybernetic red eye burns as he sizes up Vader and laughs. To the Dark Lord, this man reminds him a little bit of Grievous, but much too arrogant and too lacking in the great cyborg general's skills. Vader remains still, towering over his opponent like an executioner awaiting the command to strike. The only response he gives is a slow, measured breath through his vocoder, and then he ignites his lightsaber, letting the crimson blade ignite in front of him. Kano smirks, rolling his shoulders.
Fancy. I need to get me one of those. Come on, Tin Man. I'll make this quick. Maybe I'll even pry that mask off and see what's underneath.
Vader thinks for a moment, then chuckles. He suddenly deactivates his lightsaber and clips it back to his belt. Instead, he cracks his knuckles.
Insolent weakling. I do not even need a weapon for you. Fight!
The moment the command is given, Kano rushes in, knives flashing as he slashes at the Dark Lord. He identifies several critical systems in his armor and works to target them first. Yet, even with his armor, Vader moves with surprising swiftness. He moves like a blur, dodging these attacks and sliding from side to side before throwing a quick jab at Kano's side. He growls and staggers from the force-enhanced blows. One of them is enough to send him stumbling. When he whirls around, Kano flashes his knife and scores a cut against his helmet. He growls while Kano laughs.
We'll see what you look like under that tin can soon enough.
Kano lunges at him again, twirling his knife and scoring more blows against him. That is, until Vader sweeps his cape in front of him and catches his knife. As Kano tries to free it, the Dark Lord lifts his hand, fingers curling slightly. Kano freezes mid-step. His cocky smirk vanishes as his throat tightens. His hands claw at his neck, struggling for breath. But it's useless. The pressure intensifies, his face turning red, then a sickly shade of purple. Veins bulge, eyes wide with panic. The crowd watches in stunned silence as Vader slowly clenches his fist together. Kano's legs kick wildly, his body convulsing. His cybernetic eye flickers as oxygen deprivation sets in. Vader lets him linger like that, enjoying the sight before using the Force to pull him closer, then whirls with a roundhouse kick. Snap. A grotesque crunch echoes through the arena as Kano's spine bends unnaturally. A strange gasp escapes him before his body goes limp, his head lolling to one side, lifeless. Vader releases his grip, letting the broken corpse drop to the blood-stained floor with a dull thud. Silence. Then, Shao Kahn bellows in approval.
Fatality.
Kano's body is dragged off, and Vader awaits the next match. When the time comes, Vader steps into the ring as another challenger approaches. The temperature suddenly drops as Sub-Zero appears. He crosses his arms and eyes Vader up and down. The Grand Master of the Lin Kuei walks into the blood-stained battlefield. His blue and black attire stark against the dim torchlight. He senses the suffocating darkness that clings to Vader.
I see the corruption in you. It festers like a disease. Let me put you out of your misery, mad dog.
You are strong, but misguided.
Without hesitation, Sub-Zero attacks, moving with ruthless precision. Ice forms at his fingertips as he hurls a barrage of frozen daggers. Vader's crimson blade ignites, slashing through the projectiles, sending shards of ice scattering across the arena. But this was a distraction, as Sub-Zero freezes the ground around them, creating a sheet of ice. When Vader moves, his foot slips and allows his foe to unleash a flurry of blows, each backed by a supernatural cold. His fists slam against Vader's armor, forming frost upon impact that weakens the armor. The Sith Lord grunts as ice crackles along his gauntlet. When Vader tries to strike at him, he feels his fists starting to freeze, but Vader clenches it and cracks it.
Impressive.
Sub-Zero's hands glow with eldritch blue energy, and with a mighty roar, he sends a wave of ice surging toward Vader. The Sith Lord raises his lightsaber and spins it around, dissipating the ice as his cloak is torn apart from the attack. When he emerges, his armor sparks slightly, but his movements remain precise, albeit rather slow. Sub-Zero dodges the first swing and leaps over him, kicking his back. Vader whirls and tries to stab at him, but the foe remains just out of reach. Seeing Vader's clumsy attack offer no challenge, Sub-Zero summons a pair of icy knives and rushes forward. He throws a quick set of stabs, the ice surrounding his blade adding to the power as it is so cold it burns. One manages to sink into Vader's thigh, causing him to grunt in pain. Sub-Zero smirks as Vader staggers, but then he stomps his foot and rights himself. The ice shatters around him, and he slashes Sub-Zero's leg. The warrior hisses and stumbles back, but Vader is not done. The crowd watches in shock as Vader clenches his fist, and the frozen energy gathers around him, twisting into dozens of razor-sharp shards. With a flick of his wrist, the deadly icicles reverse course, hurling towards Sub-Zero. The warrior barely has time to react. The shards rip through his flesh, piercing his limbs, his torso, his face. Blood spatters across the cold arena floor as he staggers back, his body torn asunder. He gasps, falling to his knees, his lifeblood freezing upon the ground beneath him. Vader steps forward, towering over the broken warrior. He breathes and offers a faint nod.
Fatality.
Before Vader can relax, Scorpion materializes in a burst of hellfire, standing opposite Darth Vader in the blood-stained arena. His glowing, hollow eyes narrow as he studies the Sith Lord. Something about Vader feels familiar, a darkness, a hunger, but also a wound buried beneath his rage.
You walk a path I once did, a path of vengeance that only leads to ruin.
I do not seek vengeance, only power.
Then you are already lost.
Without a word, he hurls his iconic kunai spear through the air.
Get over here!
The weapon streaks toward Vader's chest, but before it can strike, the Sith Lord's gloved hand snaps up and sends it crashing against the wall. The arena falls silent as Scorpion's weapon is halted mere inches from its target. Vader yanks the chain with brutal strength, pulling Scorpion forward. The Hellspawn ninja twists in midair, flipping toward him with a blazing kick. The blow sends Vader sliding back, but the heat does something to him. It reminds him of the burning blaze of Mustafar, and he hisses in pain. Seeing this, Scorpion summons more flames as Vader tries to crush him with the Force. With sheer will, Scorpion summons his flames, breaking Vader's hold and moving behind him. He summons a sword of hellfire that meets his lightsaber. Vader growls, looking into Scorpion's eyes that burn with righteous fury, his blood boiling at the sight as he shoves the warrior back and tries to slash at him. Yet Scorpion slides aside. The blows continue to fall, but he manages to halt these attacks. Vader's precise, measured strikes against Scorpion's relentless fury. Scorpion flips back, summoning a wave of hellfire that rushes toward Vader. the Sith Lord sweeps his hand forward, and the flames part around him. It singes his armor and gets dangerously close to him. Scorpion's eyes widen, but he does not hesitate. He leaps high into the air, his spear ready once more. Vader does not dodge. Instead, as the kunai come toward him again, he catches it mid-flight, twisting the chain around his arm. With a swift, brutal motion, he yanks Scorpion downward and impales him through the chest with his weapon. Scorpion gasps, his body jerking as Vader holds him close.
You speak of vengeance, but I am beyond such petty things.
He drives the kunai deeper, twisting it, causing flames to sputter from Scorpion's wound. He pulls it out and drives the weapon into him again and again, sending blood spattering everywhere. With one final thrust, Vader rips the weapon free, leaving Scorpion to collapse to his knees. The Hellspawn looks up at his executioner, his body already beginning to dissolve into embers.
You still have a choice.
Vader stands over the smoldering remains, staring at the kunai in his grasp. For a moment, he is still. Then, he hooks the weapon to his belt. Turning from the battlefield, he does not acknowledge Scorpion's final words, but something lingers in his mind as he steps into the shadows once more.
Fatality.
The hellfire around him doesn't fade, though. If anything, it only grows as another figure approaches, stepping through the flames as if they were nothing, and casually brushes some more cinders from his sleeves. Shang Tsung steps forward, studying Vader like a predator sizing up its prey, a slow smirk creeping onto his face.
I have devoured many souls, but yours is unlike anything I have ever encountered. A storm of anger, loss, and power. You cannot hide from me, Darth Vader. It would be delicious to taste it.
You waste your time. I have no soul.
Ah, but that is a lie, isn't it? I can feel it. Something buried deep beneath the machine. Something broken.
Before Vader can respond, the sorcerer's form shifts, his body contorting and twisting as green energy surges through him. In an instant, he stands before Vader, not as himself, but as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Vader stiffens, his breath momentarily falters.
You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
Rage flares in Vader's chest, his crimson blade igniting. He lunges, striking out at the illusion, but Shang Tsung evades, teleporting behind him in a burst of emerald flame. Fire erupts from his hands, consuming Vader's cape, the heat licking at his armor. Vader grits his teeth and presses forward through the inferno. Shang laughs as he sidesteps and avoids each attack, sliding against the blows and moving through them. Vader swings at him, roaring and trying to cut him down, and yet Shang Tsung is already moving. He avoids these strikes and parries them with the blow of his weapon. Though Shang lacks Obi-Wan's skill, it is clear he is getting into his head, and he pushes forward, knocking Vader aside. The Dark Lord finds himself on the defensive, trying to halt these blows. He stumbles with each attack as Shang Tsung approaches. His laughter echoes across the arena. But then, the Force lashes out, slamming into Shang Tsung and sending him hurtling across the battlefield. The sorcerer grins as he rights himself, shifting forms again, this time into Emperor Palpatine.
You are nothing without me. Just a frightened boy clinging to power he does not understand.
Vader bellows in fury, charging forward. He swings violently, his lightsaber carving through the illusion. Shang Tsung flickers back into his true form, but the damage is done. Vader's rage is boiling over, unchecked and uncontrollable.
Yes, give in to it. You are so much like my master. That is why you will fail.
He summons a circle of fire, but then pushes it forward towards him, pressing it into him like a cage as he prepares to finish him off. But then Vader's hand shoots forward, his grip tightening around Shang Tsung's throat. Although pain bursts across Vader's body from the effort, he ignores it. For the moment, his rage overpowers everything else. The sorcerer gasps, his smirk faltering as he claws at the invisible pressure crushing his windpipe. He tightens his grip. Shang Tsung's body spasms, his legs kicking helplessly as his bones begin to creak under the pressure. Green energy seeps from his skin, his stolen soul's attempting to flee, but Vader does not relent. With one final sickening crunch, the sorcerer's neck snaps. His body crumples, lifeless, the dark magic dissipating into the air. Vader releases the corpse, letting it fall unceremoniously to the ground. He stands over the body for a moment before turning, stepping into the darkness once more.
Fatality.
But though Vader stands victorious, his battle lust is not satisfied. The last battle had got his blood boiling, and now he is eager to let that rage out. He can't wait for the next match, his desire foaming at the mouth. Shao Kahn gives it to him. Right on cue, the air crackles with electricity as Raiden, the god of thunder, descends onto the arena. His white eyes glow with divine energy as he studies Vader.
You are a being of darkness. For the sake of the realms, I must stop you.
I have destroyed gods before. You will be no different.
With a flash of red light, Raiden surges forward, lightning streaking from his fingertips. Vader ignites his crimson blade, but the electricity courses through his armor, causing his servos to strain and his breathing apparatus to crackle. But as he rights himself, Raiden is upon him. He moves at inhuman speed, zipping and almost teleporting as he rains punches down on him. Vader tries to counterattack, swinging his lightsaber and trying to stab at him, but the man remains constantly out of reach. Snarling, Vader tries to lunge forward, but Raiden sidesteps and kicks him across the stomach. Sending the Dark Lord flying across the room, he smashes into a tree, letting it topple over. But before he can recover, Raiden unleashes another burst of lightning that shatters it. From the ashes, Vader stumbles and falls to his knees. Raiden raises his hands, preparing to end the fight. But then, Vader remembers. He recalls Palpatine's teachings, the agony of Mustafar, and the moment he overpowered Count Dooku. When the lightning comes, Vader raises his hand, gripping it with the Force until he can rise. Then, he ignites his lightsaber and uses it like a lightning rod to catch it. The bolts crackle all around him, still singeing Vader's armor and leaving the Dark Lord wincing as he steps closer. Though Raiden tries to pour in more power, Vader fuels himself with the dark side and twists his lightsaber down, jabbing the point into him, and with it, the lightning. The Thunder God's eyes widen in shock before he's engulfed in his own power. The energy surges through his body, his divine form writhing as his own lightning betrays him. His skin blackens, his armor sizzles, and his body convulses violently. With one final ear-splitting scream, Raiden collapses to the ground, smoke rising from his lifeless form and his flesh melting off his power.
Your power was great, but it was never truly yours to control. Fatality.
Vader cannot rest yet. Even after that victory, one challenge remains until he can at last win this tournament. Liu Kang steps onto the battlefield, his stance firm, his presence unwavering. He exudes the calm, focused energy of a true warrior, one devoted to balance. Vader senses it immediately. The fire of Liu Kang's spirit burns bright, stronger than any opponent Vader has faced in this tournament.
You are lost in darkness. I will not allow you to spread your corruption any further.
Then you will fall like all the others.
The battle erupts in a furious clash of skill and strength. Liu Kang is fast, but Vader strikes first. His lightsaber is raised high as he brings it down. But then the former monk moves, blindingly fast. His movements fluid and precise. He counters every strike of Vader's lightsaber, striking the gaps in Vader's armor, targeting his joints with devastating kicks or his nunchuck. The Sith Lord finds himself on the defensive. Rather than avoid it, Liu Kang meets these attacks head-on. Vader's frustration grows. He lashes out with the Force, attempting to seize Liu Kang in an invisible grip. But the warrior evades, hurling one of his nunchucks to disrupt his concentration. While recovering, he delivers a powerful flying kick to his helmet, denting the metal. Liu Kang does not let up, striking with a series of rapid punches and kicks that drive Vader back. It is not strength alone that Liu Kang wields. It is mastery, a discipline not unlike the Jedi. Vader snarls, unleashing all his training and technique into this battle. He uses what he has learned as a Jedi and a Sith to fight. But it is not enough. His Jedi training is outdated as he lacks balance, and his Sith training is incomplete. With each stroke and drill he uses, Liu Kang avoids it or finds a way to counter it, while continuing to thump Vader with his nunchucks. Vader allows his anger to take full control, reaching deep into the well of his fury. With a sudden surge of power, he catches Liu Kang's arm mid-strike and drives a gauntleted fist into his ribs, cracking them. The Shaolin warrior grunts in pain, but Vader does not relent. He hammers Liu Kang with relentless blows, each one fueled by pure rage, breaking his defenses. Blood drips from Liu Kang's mouth as Vader lifts him with the Force and slams him into the ground. The arena falls silent as Liu Kang struggles to rise, his body broken, but his spirit unyielding. Shao Kahn leans forward on his throne, watching with keen interest.
Finish him.
Vader looks down at Liu Kang, seeing the defiance in his eyes. There is no fear, only resolve. For a fleeting moment, something stirs within the Sith Lord, but it is gone just as quickly. With a final, crushing blow, Vader's fist collapses Liu Kang's chest, shattering the cavity and puncturing his heart. The champion of Earthrealm gasps, his body trembling before finally going still.
Fatality.
The Colosseum erupts in thunderous applause as Vader stands over Liu Kang's broken body. Shao Kahn rises from his throne, joining the applause for a moment before gesturing for silence.
You have proven yourself, warrior. You have earned your place at my side. Serve me, and together we will conquer realms beyond imagination. I have served one emperor already. I will not bow to another. I am no one's servant. I am the master.
A hush falls over the crowd before Shao Kahn throws his head back and laughs.
Foolish wretch. You believe you can challenge me? Then you shall face the wrath of Outworld's might.
With a single motion, Shao Kahn raises his warhammer, and the gates of the Colosseum burst open. A tide of warriors surges forth. Tarkatans, Shokan, Outworld's fiercest champions, all descending upon Vader. The Dark Lord ignites his lightsaber and raises his hand. The Force explodes outward, sending dozens of warriors flying. He moves through them like a specter of death, cutting down hordes before they even hit the ground. Tarkatans lunge at him, their jagged blades slicing through the air, only to be severed from their limbs before they can strike. Shokan champions tower over him, but Vader lifts them with the Force and slams them into the Colosseum walls, crushing them instantly. Arrows and projectiles hurtle forward, but he deflects them with effortless precision. He calls upon the dark side, sending shockwaves of destruction through the battlefield. The recent battles haven't exhausted him, they only ignited a flame within him, a flame Vader had long thought died out. The ground trembles under his fury. He tears through Shao Kahn's army until the bodies pile high, and the once boisterous crowd falls into stunned silence. Shao Kahn watches, his amusement replaced by fury. He grips his warhammer tightly and strides forward.
Enough! If you seek the throne of Outworld, you must take it from me. That was my intention.
Shao Kahn lunges, bringing his massive hammer down. Vader barely dodges, the sheer force of the strike creating a crater where he stood. The Emperor of Outworld is relentless, swinging with monstrous strength. Vader parries, but each blow sends vibrations through his cybernetic limbs, leaving them screaming in protest. He counters with powerful strikes, his lightsaber meeting the enchanted warhammer in bursts of sparks and raw energy. Shao Kahn summons green hellfire, launching it in waves. The first droplets burn him, melting parts of his armor, but Vader absorbs the rest before it can do serious damage. The flames swirl around his gloved fingers before he redirects them. Shao slams his hammer down and sends it dissipating all around him. But from the smoke, he sees Vader lunging forward, his burned face visible from the holes in his armor, yet this does little to slow him down. He steps slowly and then speeds up to rush at Shao Kahn. Cursing, the ruler of this dimension raises his hammer and swings it. Vader catches Shao Kahn mid-swing with the Force, locking the warhammer in place. Using his cybernetic strength, he wrenches it from the Emperor's grasp and swings it back at him. The hammer connects with Shao Kahn's skull with a sickening crack, fracturing his helmet and sending him to his knees. Vader looms over him, the red glow of his saber reflecting in Shao Kahn's bloodied visor.
Your reign is over.
With one final strike, he brings the hammer down, crushing Shao Kahn's head. The Colosseum falls into stunned silence, before erupting into deafening roars of both terror and awe.
Fatality.
As he ascends the steps and takes his seat, the warriors of Outworld kneel before him. With this comes the spoils. The power and strength of this dimension and his armies will come in handy once he conquers his galaxy. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.